Hey guys, Go Your Plus back time Mercer days, and I'm gonna finish this mock draft series off in 2025 with my final mock draft. Really, this time round two. I know the last one was technically my final mock draft, but I said I was going to do that one. Then after round one completed, I was going to do another one with just the round two selections. So. Of course, I don't know as much about a lot of these round two guys as I've learned about the guys who were mostly picked in round one. Of course, there were some crazy falls like Shedeur Sanders, Will Johnson, Mike Green, Nick Emenwari, Luther Burden, who I all had going in the. I had all of them going in the first round, and a lot of them were surprising to see fall all the way to the second round. But I will go through all these 32 picks fairly quickly, and we'll head to the next part of the NFL Draft. Day 2, about 3 hours from now. If you guys are excited, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below who you want your team to select in Day 2. And let's begin with the Cleveland Browns, who in the first round traded down to gain an extra second round pick and picked Mason Graham. I've seen a few different selections here. I've seen quarterback, I've seen Mike Green, I've seen Will Johnson. I'm going to have this Browns go with offense, but not QB. I'm going to have them go with Luther Burden out of Missouri. Now, it was kind of surprising to see him fall, but people did see it coming. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think Burden is definitely worth the pick here by Cleveland to begin the second round. And now we've got the Texans at 34. And I have them going with offensive line after trading down Jonah Savayanea. He's an offensive guard, I believe. Actually, no, I don't even believe. I just know he's an offensive guard. Because I know he's not a center, and I know he's not a tackle. He's out of Arizona, so the second Arizona guy he picked. The other one was Tedero McMillan, pick 8 by the Panthers, which I got right, by the way, in my final mock draft. Texans could use some O-line help. They lost Larry Tunsil, and I think this should support them at least for now being. Maybe if you're a Texans fan, you'd rather them pick Josh Simmons and trade down with the Giants. And actually, if I was a Texans fan, I'd probably just prefer you pick Josh Simmons. But this works for now. And now we've got the Titans. They picked, of course, Cam Ward in the first round. And now I think they get another guy who the Titans fans will be happy about. Will Johnson out of Michigan, going to Tennessee. The injury concerns do seem very legit, as he was in the top 15 of pretty much every mock draft, and actually really in the top 10 of every mock draft early. So the fact that he dropped completely out of the first round is how you know that the injury is probably very severe. But I don't think he falls out of the second round. I think that Tennessee picks him up early on, which leads us to our second Browns selection. I know Mike Green's on the board, but the Browns see the Raiders behind them and think, if we want a QB from this draft class, it's got to be this pick or the Raiders are going to be able to take their pick. So, in my opinion, it's got to be Sanders or Milroe, and I have the Browns picking Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado here. Is it guaranteed? Of course not, but I don't think that really matters. It's just a mock draft, and I did have Sanders going at 4, so at this point, whatever I do, it can't be much worse than having him go at 4, right? Because he's at 36 in this mock draft. And now we've got the Raiders. I think the Raiders could easily not pick quarterback here, but I did want to get Jalen Milroe off the board. I think eventually a team, especially in the second round, if you already got your number one guy, is going to look at his ceiling and say, I've got to take an opportunity. That's what I have the Raiders doing here. I have them selecting Jalen Milroe. Next, we've got the New England Patriots at 38. First round, they picked Will Campbell, which I don't love the Will Campbell pick. I feel like trade down is a pretty strong spot there. Maybe they can't trade. Maybe there wasn't any trade downs worth it. But if I'm the Patriots, I'm probably trading down. But, I mean, I don't think Campbell's a bad player by any means. But here I do have them going on the other side of the field. Or, yeah, okay, I guess that works. On defense, I have them picking Nick Emenwari, who I had going in the first round, I think, to the Bills. No, not the Bills. That was like last time. I had them going to the Vikings this time. But since he clearly fell to the second round, the Patriots are the team he'll end up with. The Bears, I go Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. They didn't get the running back Gentry, they're rumored to get, but of course the Raiders snag him at 6. My bad. Travion Henderson has a lot of supporters. There's a lot of running backs who are kind of hard to separate in this. You've got him in the second round. You got him. You got Judkins. You got Johnson. You got Sampson. You got Scatterboo. But of course, those two seem to be more third round in this. But yeah, you always take chances on running backs because if you can get a good one on rookie contract, you're set for a few years. And now we've got the Saints who picked Kelvin Banks, and now I have them going on defense. I mean, no, not defense. They stick on offense, actually. They're going to try their hardest to help out Spencer Rattler or whatever QB they end up drafting next year after they go 4-13. I have them going with Trey Harris out of Mississippi. Wait, isn't that just Ole Miss? Wasn't that just Ole Miss? Why does it say Mississippi? I hate that. I know Ole Miss is Mississippi, but that doesn't mean I want it to say Mississippi. For example, Trey Amos is from Ole Miss, but they call it Mississippi. Just call it Ole Miss, man. Anyway, Bears are back up on the board, or on the clock, and I think they're in a nice spot here, but I do not have them going Benjamin Morrison. I think the concerns with Mike Green are probably legit for a lot of teams, and I think he might fall even farther than just the first round. I'm not saying third round, but I am saying maybe he won't just be one of the first 3 picks in the second round. Anyway, I have the Bears going with defensive back out of Notre Dame, Benjamin Morrison. They could use help on the defense. Pretty much any defensive position works for the Bears. I'm not even joking. Like, what position, if you're a Bears fan, what defensive position do you not want to pick? Like, let's be honest. You always take chances on DBs in the second or third round, in my opinion. I think that's a great spot for them. Second, third round's a great spot for offensive line and corner and running back. Those are 3 positions that, like, you don't have to always go to the first round to grab a good one. Anyway, next we've got the Jets. I've got my third receiver of the second round going off the board here after Luther Burden and Trey Harris. Jaden Royals out of Utah. Jalen Royals. I keep calling him Jaden. That's Jaden Higgins. Jalen Royals out of Utah State. I heard about him a while ago. That doesn't really boost my opinion of him too much because he played for Utah State. But, I mean, Puka Nacua didn't play for a large college either. So, he could be great. For the 49ers, who'd they pick in the first round? Mykel Williams. This time I have him staying in the trenches, but on the other side of the field. Ariante Ezery out of Minnesota goes to San Francisco. I saw this guy grade Mykel Williams a D pick and didn't like his athleticism, which I'm not acting like he's the most athletic edge rusher here, but saying Mykel Williams was the worst pick of the draft is crazy. Like, his lowest grade besides that was like a C+, and then he gave Mykel Williams a D for the 49ers. Like, I think that's insane, personally. I think the worst pick was... Well, I'm not going to talk about what I think about the draft yet, because I will be making a video either later today or tomorrow about my favorite picks of the draft, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, the Cowboys are up next, and I have them going with maybe a reach. Hold on, let me look at something real quick. Yep, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee goes all the way in the second round to Dallas. That's Texas. I mean, it's not that far of a travel. That's not really true. Tennessee to Texas is pretty far. Cowboys get their running back. Maybe they're surprised, but they chose competition. And the SEC has the roughest batch of players on the defensive side of things, especially. So, you can tell. Dylan Sampson, I think he's good. He doesn't do anything I think other running backs can't, though, which is why he isn't. I never had him going in the first round. Anyway, Colts are up next, and I have them selecting, finally, ECU Dynasty legend. Okay, I'm on running back still. Siobhan Revel out of ECU. He was probably a first-round pick if he didn't get injured. Not even probably, likely. Like, it was pretty much unbelievable that he fell. That he would have fallen if he didn't get hurt, is what I'm trying to say. And I've got the Rams with that Falcons pick that they traded down for. It's a pretty large trade down from the Rams. So I think they could trade up in the second round, but there's no trades in this mock draft. Instead, I'll have them finally select Mike Green out of Marshall. I mean, it's crazy how far he fell, even for me. But you know, that's only what the first. That's the first edge going off the board. So it's not like it's just the teams here didn't want edge rusher. Most of the teams that want edge rusher picked them in the first round. Anyway, the Cardinals are up next, and I have them selecting another running back. Quinshawn Judkins of Ohio State, their second running back to go in this second round. And now we're at the Dolphins, who I have going with, where is he? TJ Sanders out of South Carolina goes to Florida with the Dolphins. The Bengals, I have them go with, actually, offense this time around. This is a guy I'd love to see fall to the Falcons in the third round, but the chances of that happening are low. Jarrett Wilson out of Georgia. Great center for, I think, 2 years he was with us, or starting with us. I'm not exactly sure, but he was on, I don't think he ever transferred to us. I think he was recruited by the University of Georgia. Next, we've got the Seahawks, and I think a lot of Florida State fans are going to love this pick. Azariah Thomas jumps Trey Amos and is picked by the Seahawks. Now the Broncos. They didn't get their running back. And Caleb Johnson isn't the pick because it's Cam Scatterboo out of Arizona State. They saw how he performed against Texas and Broncos decided, this is our guy. By the way, they got Jay Barron in the first round. Pretty good pick, I'd say. Seahawks are back on the clock. And guess what? This might be surprising. But a third quarterback goes in the second round. Tyler Show out of Louisville, who I didn't even know of before the season ended because I don't care about Louisville football. He jumps all the way to the second round. Seahawks make sure no one else can get him. They have 2 picks, so they can get a need right here and then just a shot in the dark with a quarterback right at 52. I've heard people say he might get drafted before Milroe, by the way. I'm not going to be so sure. And why did that reset? Oh. That wasn't nice. My sheets will work. Alright, so I'll just type in this. I'll just make a presentation for the last ones. Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss, goes to Tampa Bay. JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State goes to the Packers. The Chargers get Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. The Bills get Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. The Panthers select Nick Scouton, edge out of Texas A&M. The Texans grab Darius Alexander, edge out of Toledo. The Ravens get Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. The Lions select Josiah Stewart, edge out of Michigan. The Commanders get Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. The Bills select Jaden Higgins, receiver out of Ohio State. And the Chiefs get Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. The final pick is Princely Umanmielen, the edge rusher out of Ole Miss. And that is how we end the second round of the NFL draft in my mock draft. See you guys next time.